The release of DCBT04 Destined Showdown brings in the next line of Divine Skill units with the Destined ones. In this video, I'll be going over the Destined one of Protection, Alden. Alden is an aggro deck looking to push early with typical Keter Sanctuary cards, and then close out the game with its strong and easy multi-attack. On main grade 3 is the Destined one of Protection, Alden. It has a very unique ability that whenever a card would be called by its ability to a rearguard with a unit, you return that unit that is on that rearguard to hand instead of putting it to drop zone. Whenever Alden attacks, you can counterblast 1 to draw and call a card from your hand to rearguard until the end of your opponent's next turn. It can't be retired by your opponent's card effects, and it gets plus 10k power. The biggest thing to note with this effect is that this 10k power stays during the opponent's turn, so whatever you call will have a higher base power. And then Alden's Divine Skill is Soul Blast 1 and call 2 cards from your top 7, and they can't be retired by your opponent's card effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. So all of these effects together gives Alden very easy multi-attack and allows you to not minus yourself whenever you call over something, since whatever you call over gets added back to hand. It can also tutor for specific units from your top 7 once a game, allowing you to build a board out of nowhere. For Alden's ride line, we have Tranquilia, which whenever you ride over it, you look at top 5 and put a grade 2 or higher into your hand, but if you don't reveal, then you energy charge 2. And also Sodius, which whenever Alden rides over it, you Soul Blast 1, check top 5, and call a grade 3 or less from them. The primary rearguard in this deck is Raziono, which draws for Energy Blast 4 whenever you call it, and whenever you call something over it from your Alden effect, then that unit gets plus 10k power, and if the opponent's grade 3 or higher, you can Soul Blast 1 to stand one of your other rearguards. So between Alden and Razionel, you get very easy 5 attacks, and you can bounce Razionel back into your hand in order to reuse on your next turn to draw more cards, and also utilize the 5 attacks again. So between Alden and Razionel, you're giving 20k power to the thing you call. And a really big call target is Sharpness Knight Ermac, which essentially gets 15k whenever you call it from an Alden ability. So between Ermac, Razionel, and Alden, Ermac will be 45k base whenever you call it, being a massive attack that the opponent has to deal with. And then going into your opponent's turn, it will be base 20k, making it hard to swing into. For some of our grade 1s, we have Wedge Fluence Dragon, which is a 13k booster when your Vanguard's an Alden, but whenever it boosts Alden, you can Soul Charge 1, and it gets an additional 2k, making it a 15k booster, making Alden 28k by itself. And then we also have Gragaeon, which is a counter charger for Divine Skill units. Here's our first deck list. The biggest thing to note with this deck list is the order package through Taithfalt, Sergeon, and Wisdom of the Beginning. Between these 3 cards, Alden gets a really strong early game, through Wisdom allowing you to build a board without minusing your hand, and Taithfalt having a top 5 search, and then Sergeon also being another 13k booster that can retire itself to add something to your hand. This combination of cards gives Alden a really good early game. A second deck list is a little bit similar, just instead of Taithfalt and Wisdom of the Beginning, we have Valtrosa, which is a counterblast to check top 5 to call something, and a Warrior's Rest, which gives 2 of your units the ability that whenever they're boosted, they get plus 10k power. Valtrosa is a little bit more consistent on getting off compared to Taithfalt because it doesn't require an order to be played in order to top 5 search. And the Warrior's Rest can be pretty cool by helping give numbers that Valtrosa doesn't gain compared to Taithfalt. And then lastly is the budget variant of the deck, which utilizes Gilment, which is a 25k interceptor, Sadie, which can counterblast to draw whenever you call it through an ability, and then Alden's Order this set, which is determined with the Blade of Protection, which gives your Vanguard the skill that on attack you counterblast 1 to call something from your hand, allowing Alden to call 2 things during its battle phase. So with that and Razionel, you're able to get your front row standing and also call a new booster. But if you have double Razionel, then you can also stand both boosters behind both of those rear guards. For our early game, we are typically trying to push really hard, utilizing the first 2 deck lists with Sergeon and the order package. But if you're playing the budget deck list, then you're relying a lot less on having a really good early game compared to the other 2 deck lists. You can still drop down units essentially as vanillas in order to help push to make your later game stronger. And then from turn 3 onwards, you're utilizing Alden and Razionel to get really strong multi-attack, and also Alden's Order to get even more multi-attack. There are some really cool things this deck can do. Utilizing Taithfalt and Valtrosa as top 5 searchers, you're able to find sometimes perfect guards, and then use Alden's Divine Skill to call over the perfect guard, and then you add that perfect guard back into your hand. which gives a whole additional layer of gameplay you can utilize. Alden is one of the stronger decks coming out of this set. Even the budget variant of this deck can be pretty good. It doesn't fully need to utilize the order package like other Keter Sanctuary decks do. And that's all. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one.